From Baltimore to dirty jobs. And now Mike Rowe has a hit podcast.
Plus, on Coffee Whip, he says how he turned to all of his stories into a new book. We have Baltimore's own Mike Rowe this morning. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Lynn, it's nice to be seen, even though apparently I only own one shirt. I can't believe I'm wearing the same shirt.
How did that happen? That is funny. And you were just in Baltimore for homecoming.
Yeah, I was there maybe 3 weeks ago, downtown, Inner Harbor, Harbor East. It was terrific.
Tell us about this new book, The Way I Heard It, based on your really great podcast, which is awesome, people, because the episodes are like less than 10 minutes. They're so quick.
For the curious mind with a short attention span, I started writing these short biographical mysteries about famous people I'd never met, sort of like Paul Harvey's old The Rest of the Story. And I threw them up on a podcast platform. They got a couple 100 million downloads, and a publisher said, these ought to be a book. So I put together a few of my favorites, assembled them, and then my mother said, Michael, what a lazy way to write a book. You should turn this into a memoir about your own life. And so I'm like, well, how am I going to do that? So basically the book goes from biography to autobiography, from mystery to memoir. And in the end, you wind up getting what I hope is a fun look at a lot of different topics and some tales from my own misspent career growing up there in Baltimore.
Misspent. You have so many good stories. Let me ask you this one. The best advice your grandfather ever gave you, what was it?
He told me when I was 17 that I could be a tradesman if I really wanted to, and believe me, I did. My pop was the kind of guy who could build a house, you know, without a blueprint. I wanted to follow in his footsteps. But the handy gene is recessive, right? And I just didn't get it. It didn't come easily to me. But he said to me, he said, look, you can be a tradesman, just get yourself a different toolbox. And ultimately, that's why I wound up singing in the Baltimore Opera. It's why I wound up working in the home shopping industry. It's why I wound up in television. And it's why I'm sitting here talking to you today.
This book is going to be so interesting to read. You've had such a life. It's fascinating.
It's been a kick. And you know, you don't always know it until you sit down and look back at it. Everybody should write a book, Lynn. Everybody should wait tables, too. But just because the process is interesting. And for me, writing it, you know, it was challenging, but it also was one of those activities that compressed time. I can't tell you how many times, I wrote most of it on planes, but how many times I was sitting there on the tarmac in SFO, starting a story and looking up a couple minutes later and being on the tarmac at JFK in New York. It just compresses time, and hopefully you'll feel that way when you read it too.
So holiday shopping season, Mike Rowe's The Way I Heard It, available now. A great choice for gift if you're shopping for someone. Mike, thank you so much for joining us.
Anytime, Lynn. Say hey to the gang.
I will. Stay with us. More news, weather, and traffic right after this.